If you want to know about the consequences of negativity and how to limit the amount of negative influences that are actually in your life, then stick around for this episode. We have some amazing things to share with you. What up, what up? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Curse Breaker podcast. I'm so excited to talk about negativity and all of its importance and all the details and things that we have for you today. However, I want to start by thanking my friends and family over at the Black Gamut Entertainment because I love what they do. I love what their message and everything that they stand on because they're not people who just talk the talk. They're people who walk the walk. They're vowing to change the podcasting industry forever. Every podcast is done with a purpose and every show has goals. Just like the Curse Breaker podcast, our goals is to actually help develop leadership and entrepreneurship programs within low-income schools so that kids can have the opportunity to learn things that I thought I wanted to learn or I knew I needed to learn when I was just early into my teenage years, maybe 13, 14 years old, because I would have made much better decisions with my life, I know for sure. So with that, let's dive right into the info that's happening inside of this episode. Again, I'm excited to have you guys here. Let's talk about negativity. Today, we're going to talk all about Chapter 2 inside of the Unlock Yourself formula, and that is negativity. We're going to talk about why it's bad to have so much negativity around you, but also what you can do to start to limit the amount of negative influences that are coming inside of your life so that you can go out and step into the greatness that you were born to create. Okay. So with all that being said, obviously I got to start off with a story because that's just how I roll. If you guys haven't realized that in the first couple of episodes so far, hey, this is your first time hearing it, okay? But obviously, a lot of you guys know my background. If you want to know more in depth about it, definitely go back and listen to episode number 1 where I share a little bit more about who I am and kind of the background where I came from. However, I'm just going to dive right into this because for the sake of time, I want to make sure that you guys can get some value out of this episode. And basically, I want to talk about my dream, right? The dream that I had when I was growing up and basically going into the NFL and wanting to create this lifestyle. But the first step that I had to take was basically getting a D1 scholarship because my mom didn't have the money for me to go to college. So therefore, I knew I had to get somebody else to pay it for me, right? So with that being said, I knew that I had to start making some decisions. And I asked my brother, who was like the football, my football guru at the time, because he studied football so much and he just knew so much about the inner workings of everything. And I said, bro, like, how do I get to the league? And he basically told me, like, all right, you got to do good in high school and actually have some good tape and some good highlights, things like that. Then we got to get you into college. You got to play at least 3 years in college, either as a junior, so you can leave as a junior, or a redshirt sophomore. And then from there, you can declare to go to the NFL, you can go to the league, right? So I was like, boom, bet. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set out. I'm going to take this route. This is the route I'm going to take. And I realized that, again, the thought process that I had was I need to get this scholarship. And if for those of you guys who don't know, I'll reiterate this. I went to a high school that never, ever had a D1 athlete come out of that high school. It's never been done in the school's history before. So here I am walking into this high school and I have this dream, this goal inside of my mind. And I start telling people, right? Like, obviously you got teachers that actually, what's your dream? What's your goals? Things like that. And I started saying, like, all right, my dream, I'm going to the league. Like, I got to get a scholarship because I'm going to the league. And I remember having all kinds of negativity, right? All kinds of people that told me that I could not accomplish it. I had people that told me that it's never been done at the high school before. I had people tell me that it's a pipe dream and I should focus more on my grades. I remember I even had one teacher back when I was in elementary school tell me I had a better chance of going to jail or dying before I ever had the opportunity to accomplish that dream. And obviously, those are things that you never want to hear, right? Like, it's frustrating things that you get to hear. However, here's what I learned, guys, to be honest with you. What you believe about you is so much more important than what everybody else thinks about you. Period. And I'm going to say that again because some of you guys need to hear that again to allow that to soak in. What you believe about you is so much more important than what they or other people believe about you. It doesn't matter what everybody else is saying about you because typically what people are saying when they doubt what you're doing or they give you that negativity is they're sharing their belief about themselves. They're saying individually that they cannot accomplish what you just told them you're going to accomplish. So therefore, they push their belief about themselves onto you. And if you accept it, that's your fault. That's your fault. You have to start figuring out how to basically negate those statements as they come in. Like, people are going to hit you with negative things. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, you're going to get hit with so many different things as you start to develop that upshot that we talked about in episode 2, and you start sharing that with people and telling them the places that you're going and in the direction that you're headed. There's not going to be a lack of people who come out of nowhere just to tell you that you can't succeed. Because basically what you're doing is revealing to them how crappy their life actually is. So therefore, they're going to try to keep you down with them inside of this world where it's like, no, you can't get better than me. Don't put your head above the crowd and start trying to look down on us. They have this bad thought process, this mentality of like, if you go achieve great things, that it only reveals how horrible my life is. So therefore, a lot of the times, the things that they share, that negativity, they think it comes from a place of like, oh, I care about you, but it's really coming from a place of fear and doubt. And that fear and doubt can get infested inside of you. So we're going to avoid that. So coming back to that statement that I just said earlier, what you believe about you is so much more important than what other people believe about you. And inside of this whole episode, if you don't get anything else, that's something that I want you to either write down, take notes, put it on a sticky note, make a magnet out of it. I don't care, right? Figure something out to keep that message in your mind, because you're going to have people that tell you all kinds of things that you can accomplish something. You're going to have people that tell you that you can, but I feel like a lot of the times you're going to get an influx, an abundance of people who tell you that you can't. And the more that you can basically ignore those thoughts, those people that are trying to bring you down, the better you're going to set yourself up to actually achieve the goals and the upshots that you already created for yourself. Okay. So with that being said, again, we're going through the book, right? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the training. Here's what I had to do, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a very like type A personality. I like to call it choleric personality. If you never read this book called Wired That Way, you should definitely pick it up, because it helped reveal to me some of the different personality traits that I am. And it gave it in a much easily understood way. Like, I could read through the book and it actually made so much more sense to me than all the type A type of books and things like that. So personality perspective revealed that I'm more of like a choleric type of person. If you guys are anything like me, then when people tell you you can't do something, you just want to go out and prove them wrong. Like, it only gives you a resolve to say, like, I'm going to go out and prove to you that I can do this, because you don't dictate what I can accomplish with my life. So that's the first point I want to bring up, is because when you get all this negativity, all the people that's going to tell you that you can't do something, you need to use it as fuel. Okay? Use that negativity as fuel. You're going to have so many people, like I said, come out of nowhere to tell you that you can't accomplish something. Use it as a reason to go prove them wrong, because there's no better basically reward for success than being able to going back and telling all those people that doubted you that you actually came out successful. Like, revenge, not revenge, but success is the greatest vengeance. That's what I typically hear all the time, and it's so true. Like, once you actually accomplish the dreams and the goals that you shared with somebody, and they had that dumb mentality, like, oh, whatever, bro, like, you ain't going to be able to accomplish that. Like, you go back and show those people, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, I knew you was going to be able to do that. You was always that man that, you had to, man, shut up. You was the first one telling me that I couldn't accomplish that. And now you get to not necessarily rub it in their face, but you basically get to say, like, now what, bro? Like, come at me now, right? So that's the thought process behind it. You have to start using these things as fuel. Use it as a reason. Is like, if somebody tells you that you can't, tell them, I bet you I can. Like, fight back. Don't let somebody else tell you that you can't do something, then just accept that as your truth. Fight back. Tell them that I don't care what you think, bro. I'm still going to go out and accomplish what I know I need to accomplish, because that's what's been put on my heart. That's what's an understanding, a dream, a belief that I have. And you don't have to listen to what other people are telling you that you have to do. You don't have to listen to that limitation. You step into your own greatness, because that allows you to go out and be the person that you were created to be. Okay? So you want to start using that as fuel. So the next thing I'm going to actually talk about is the people that you listen to, right? And I got to read this from the book, because it's a huge aspect of negativity. So I got to share this quote with you. It's from Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents of all time. He was just one of the most amazing, just dope presidents that we ever had, right? But I got to share this quote with you, because it fires me up every single time. And I'm going to label this segment of the talk itself, or of the podcast of the show. Credit goes to those who are in the arena. Okay. So listen to this, because I think this is going to help a lot of you guys kind of break this self-limiting belief of negativity and what other people think of you. Okay. So listen to this. Here we go. The credit belongs to those who are actually in the arena, who strive valiantly, who know the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spend themselves in a worthy cause, who are at best know the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if they fail while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Wow. You guys probably need to rewind and listen to that again, because if you don't get fired up like I do when you hear that quote, like, come on, man. How many people in your life are trying to give you all these thought processes and all these opinions and all their advice, but they've never even been in the arena that you're performing in? Some of you guys are listening to this right now, and maybe you're a top sales professional. Maybe you're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're something. But however, you got people around you right now that are trying to give you advice that are janitors. They don't even have they're not to say a janitor is a bad job, but they're a janitor. They never had any type of success inside of being an entrepreneur, but yet they're trying to give you their advice on what you should do as an entrepreneur. Like, come on, man, you're not in my arena. Don't try to tell me what I can't do, because you're not in my arena, right? You're going to have negative people all the time try to share their influences on you or try to influence you with their opinions. However, if you allow that influence to come into your brain and allow that negativity to seep in, again, that's your fault. You got to start realizing where that information comes from. Because if it's coming from somebody who's not pursuing something that you're pursuing or have already accomplished what you're pursuing, then you should not allow that opinion to go into your mind, okay? Because that leads me right into the other part that I want to talk about, which is opinions versus advice. Opinions versus advice. How many of you guys know the difference between opinions and advice? I can tell you, when I was about 22 years old, I had no idea what the difference was. I thought that anybody who was older than me sharing some type of insight was advice, right? But I was wrong. Advice comes from somebody who's in a standpoint of life of where you want to be. It comes from someone who has accomplished what you are pursuing, and they give you insight on how to avoid some of the mishaps and some of the pitfalls that they had to go through to help you create that success faster than what they did, right? That's what advice is. However, the majority of things that we get all the time is opinions. We get everybody's opinions on what we should do with our life, because they have never created the success in what they say we should do. For example, some of you guys may have all heard this, and I know a lot of you guys can relate to this, is because all of us has pretty much grew up with this same thought process, right? Basically, the key way to create success in America is to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, work till you die. I don't know about you, that's my mom told me. Like, I need to go to school, I need to go to college, and I need to get a good job. That's pretty much the route to become successful, right? However, and this is not a knock on my mom never went to college. My mom never even finished high school. She got her GED, but she never finished high school. But here she was giving me advice, or what she thought was advice, to go and create the life that I was supposed to live based off of information that was not actually experiences. And that was the issue, right? Obviously, parents want they want to set your kids up to be better. And that's probably what they heard back when they were growing up. Like, the best way to get an education or the best way to get ahead in life is to have some type of degree, which back then in 1955, that's very true. But today in 2020, you don't need a degree to be successful. It's only select jobs and careers that need you to have a degree in order to be successful. Like, if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to have to get a degree, bro. I don't want you operating on me if you haven't went to school and got your practice reps in, right? But however, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur like I was, I didn't have to go to school for entrepreneurship. So with that being said, I want you guys to realize there's a difference between advice and opinions, okay? Start grabbing your advice from people who are in a standpoint of life. They're in your arena. they're in the goals and the pursuit that you're chasing. They have some fruit on a tree to be able to share that information back with you because they've been there, they've done that, and they can share that actual advice. I'm gonna tell you what my coach told me when I was a freshman in high school, and I played for my JV coach. His name was Elwood Townsend, and I love him still to this day. Coach Townsend, if you're listening to this right now, bro, I love you because this still sticks in my mind. I'm a kind of change the wording up a little bit just because I want to keep the podcast itself rated PG. But opinions are like armpits. Everybody has one, and the majority of them stink. Now, Coach Townsend didn't say armpits. He definitely said something else. However, I want you guys to remember that opinions are like armpits. Everybody has one, and the majority of them stink. Most of the time, people are going to give you their opinions about what they believe you should do with your life or what your dream, like when you tell them your dream and your goal, they're going to give you their opinion about why it's not going to succeed or why you're going to fail at it. Don't accept it. Don't allow that negativity into your mind. Like it doesn't matter what they say. They haven't created success in that field. And especially if they quit. Like, listen to this, guys. Like I told you, I was a football player, right? Football my entire life. When we had two-a-days, we would have probably, when I was a freshman, actually no, high school in general. When we had two-a-days, we would probably have somewhere between 60 to 75 kids show up day one of two-a-days, right? By the time day 3 came, we probably had half that number stick around. Majority of those people quit, right? Here's what I want to let you guys know. Here's why this is important. I didn't go and try to have conversations with the quitters and find out why they quit. I don't care. Once you quit and you try to give me advice about why you quit or anything else, like at that point, you're a quitter in my mind. I'm not listening to you because you haven't created success inside of that world. Instead, I'd rather go and talk to the captains, the people that were around the team and have already established a really good credibility and type of authority inside of the program. Those are the people I wanted to learn from. I didn't want to go ask the quitters how to be successful. They quit. So why would you go to somebody in life who maybe have quit something that you're pursuing and ask for their advice? Because all they're going to give you is their negative experience and therefore prevent you from taking that step forward inside of what you want to pursue. Don't do that. You're only preventing yourself success because you're trying to learn from a quitter. Go find the person that has actually created success in what you're trying to follow or what you're trying to run after. So that way you can get valuable advice. You can get key information that'll set you up to be successful in life. That's what I want you to do. Okay? That's what I want you to do. So with that being said, let me get the notes back out so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So one last thing about opinions versus advice. If you constantly allow the negative opinions of other people to influence your actions, you're going to fail. Period. There's no way around it. If you allow the negative opinions to over-influence the positive ones and what you know you need to go do, you're going to fail. That might be a little harsh, but I want you guys to hear that. You're going to fail if you allow those negative opinions to continue to influence your actions. Go out and go do what you need to do and stop listening to all the negative people, all right? Period. Let's just stop listening to all the negative people. So here's what I want to talk about to kind of wrap this thing up and put a bow on everything, because obviously I told you about the fears or not the fears, but the consequences of basically listening to negative people, right? But I want to give you guys some actionable advice for you to take right now that will allow you to start capping the negative that's inside of your life. Because if you don't cap the negative, then there's no way you're going to be able to create success. There's no way. If your negativity fills your tank more than positivity does, then you're going to fail, okay? So here's the concept that I want you guys to understand, and I call it monitoring your gates. And think of it this way. If you live in a mansion that's heavily surveillanced and this has 3 entrances, 3 gates around your mansion. Maybe it's one right in the front of the mansion. Maybe it's one off to the side where the garden is. And I don't know, maybe there's another one in the back, where all your sporting complex, your pools and everything else is, right? If that is your mansion and you have somebody that comes up to your gate and they're looking to cause you harm, right? If it's somebody that you don't, actually, let's start here first. If it's somebody that you don't know who comes up to your gate and they're ringing on your doorbell, whatever, and they're trying to get on your video and everything else, you've never seen it before, are you going to let that person into your gate? You're going to let them into your mansion? Hope not. What about if somebody comes up there like with all this heavy artillery, you have no idea who they is, but they look like they about to try to do some harm? Are you just going to willingly let that person inside of your gate? I sure hope not. The same way you're going to guard that gate to your mansion is the same way you need to guard the gate to your mind. Your mind typically has 3 gates, okay? You have your eye gate, you have your ear gate, and you have your mouth gate. You have to learn how to guard these individual gates to make sure that you get the most out of life that's going to allow you to step forward into the dreams and goals and things that you want to accomplish. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your ear gate. And we talked already a lot about that because a lot of it comes from the negative influences of other people, right? It's the people that tell you that you can't. It's the news that if you turn on the news and you're just listening to all this negativity that's happening all around you, and it gives you this false belief about the world that it's such a bad place to live in, where we only think it's a horrible place to live in because all we hear in the news is all the negative things. If there was more positivity, or if there was more light shined on the positive things happening in the world, you'll start to realize that the world is more positive than we know it to be negative because of the influences that the news basically has on us. So for me, I just cut off the news. So that's a quick rant about the news. That was definitely not in the notes, but it is there for you guys to take and glean from in any way that you can. So back to monitoring your gates. The first thing, again, you want to monitor is your ear gate. We talked about why it's important to stop listening to negative people that tell you that you can't do something, okay? You want to start surrounding yourself with people who tell you that you can. Start surrounding yourself with all the right things in order to get the mindset right, okay? So prevent. You got to stop allowing this stuff into your gate. Here's another analogy that I like to use because it just makes so much sense. Think about your computer. And if you just bought your brand new MacBook, right? Like brand new MacBook Pro, you're about to get all the stuff done on it that you need to get done on it. However, you keep on getting these things that pop up, fresh slate, right? But these things are popping up saying like, hey, do you want to allow this random program on here that I never even downloaded? Allow or don't allow? You're probably going to hit don't allow, right? Same thing. If something else pops up and it's like, oh, well, download this other random thing that I never even heard of, then you're going to hit don't allow, right? You're not going to keep on allowing things onto your brand new computer that you don't want there. So you have to do your mind the exact same way. When people start trying to give you all that negative opinions and all that negative stuff, start to block that, right? Hit that don't allow button. I'm not allowing this into my brain. I'm not listening to that, right? Let it go, okay? So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the ear gate because we already spent so much time on it. The next thing I do want to talk about, though, is your eye gate, because what you see is typically what you believe. So your eye gate is very, very important in order to create the belief behind what you know you can accomplish. This is why I say all the time it's very important to start looking at success stories and looking up people who typically look like you, came from the same environment that you did, that have created success, so that you can have a benchmark, an example of somebody who has created that success to give you the belief in yourself that is also possible for you, okay? So the eye gate is very, very important. Here's what I do want to spend some time on, because this is also inside the book. So I want to talk about social media and successful people, okay? Because it's huge. You have to learn how to start controlling your timeline to prep your mind for success. Stop following all these pages on your Instagram and Snapchat that have absolutely no correlation to whether or not you're going to be successful in life. I want to run through some quick stats because this is inside the book. I want to share with you guys some of the different people that we all know are successful people, but I want to give you an idea of what their Instagram followers to following ratio looks like, okay? So we all know Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates has 4.3 million followers, and he's only following 34 people. 34 people. Bryce Harper, who is leads MLB, is one of the greatest hitters ever to play the game. 1.7 million followers, 245 is the people he's following. He's only following 245 people. Oprah Winfrey, 17.5 million followers, only following one person. LeBron James, we all know the king, right? 55.1 million followers, 321 people he's following. Why is that important? Successful people understand the importance of controlling their timeline. They're not going to follow everybody because they can't control what everybody posts. But the few people who they do follow are people that's going to add some type of inspiration, some type of positive influence, some type of positive message that's going to remind them of the goals and dreams that they're fighting for so that they can probably get off of social media and go work at their dreams. Make sense? Like, come on, guys. Like, they're not trying to keep some certain ratio. I remember going through college and I was like, nah, bro, I got to keep my ratio, my follower to what you call. Who cares about that, man? Like, that doesn't matter. You got to learn how to control your social media timelines. Stop allowing all this negativity to go on your timeline. And then as you're scrolling, you're getting distracted from all the things that you know you need to do. Obviously, we can't worry about the sponsoring ads that come up, right? We're going to get ads all the time. However, the people that you follow, make sure it's people that's adding positivity. They're adding positive influences. They're adding things that allows you to grow yourself and move to the next level. Because if you don't, then you're just going to get stuck and lost in this trap of getting, sitting on TikTok for the next 6 hours of your life, just looking at these dumb content videos that's not actually allowing you to move the needle forward in your life. Again, I know that sounds rough, but it's the truth. Start figuring out how to follow people that's adding the inspiration to your life. They're adding the value to your life. They're reminding you of the goals and things that you've set out to accomplish. Because if you follow all the people that are adding just entertainment, what's the point? The next time you're on your social media, here's the question I want you to ask yourself. The people that I follow, am I being educated or am I being entertained? If you're just being entertained, then you need to unfollow that person, or you need to figure out how to mute that person or something and start following people that's going to educate you. They're going to give you the thought process that you need to move your life forward, to move the needle forward. Your eye gate is important. It's important because what you see has a huge impact on what you believe you can accomplish. So start following things on your social medias that's going to allow you to envision what you're pursuing in your life. Start following that so that you can continuously be inspired every time you scroll through a timeline, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Follow things of inspiration so that you can constantly be inspired instead of just being dragged down into this black hole of consuming content that will never get you anywhere in life. Okay, so that's a huge point. Wanted you guys to know that. Last thing I want to talk about is your mouth gate. And the mouth gate is a little bit tricky because the mouth goes both ways. You speak out of your mouth, but you also put food and things into your mouth for the nourishment of your body and things like that, right? I'm not going to sit here and give you a whole dietary plan on what you need to do to put inside of your mouth because I'm not a dietitian, right? And I mean, I can be honest, I could be a lot better in my own diet. If I ate like my wife did, I'd probably be 250 pounds instead of 330 like I am right now. But it is important. So I at least got to say this. We all know how to have rock hard abs. We all know how to do it. You basically got to eat clean and you got to do core workouts, core exercises. You got to do cardio. That's how you start to reveal the abs that are underneath all that layer of skin. I don't know if that's you that I'm definitely talking about me. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm talking about myself. However, the biggest gap in life is between knowing and doing. We all know what we need to do, but how many of us actually do what's necessary to get rock hard abs? I haven't. I've never had abs in my life. But here's the important part. What you put into your body is important. your mouth gate, what you put into there is very, very important. You can't fill your body with all this crap and processed foods and things like that, because it's taking years off of your life, and you have things that you need to accomplish in this lifetime. You are born for greatness. So therefore, I need you to start filling your body with the proper nutrients, the proper things that you need, so that you can stay around longer and people can hear your message and hear what you have to say, so you can have a bigger impact. That's what I need of you to do, right? So I'm not going to spend, like I said, a whole lot of time talking about what needs to go into your body and through that mouth gate, right? But you have to be selective about what you put inside of there. I want to rather talk about the things that come out of your mouth gate, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. What you speak is what you'll get. An activity that I encourage people to do all the time is think about the things that you are saying out of your mouth. It's common phrases that we all have shared, or we all have said before. Things like, small stuff like, oh, I love my mom to death. After you say a statement like that, add the phrase, and that's exactly how I want it to be. And then tell me if what you said prior to that phrase is consistent or exactly what you want it to be now that you added that statement. So, for example, I love my mom to death, and that's exactly how I want it to be. I don't know about you, but I don't want my mom to die. So I stopped saying that phrase, I love my mom to death. I say I love my mom to life. I love her to the fullest. Go back and listen to any of my content. You'll never hear me say I love somebody to death, because I don't want them to die. I'm not speaking death upon them. I want them to live. So therefore I love them to life. So that's a huge one, right? So another statement we say all the time is, I can't afford that trip, so I'm not going. Why would you say that? Is that exactly how you want it to be? Add it on there. I can't afford that trip, and that's exactly how I want it to be. Come on, man. Is this helping anybody? Like, you can't allow that thought process to seep in and that be your thinking. That's what you're speaking over your life, because you will be able to afford that trip, but you got to start speaking it as though it's already done. Start speaking it into existence, like we talked about in episode 2. Speak those things into existence that you actually want to happen as if it's already done. Stop limiting your success because of negative self-talk. Stop allowing all these negative thoughts to happen inside of your mind. And here's how you fight them, because you can't fight bad thoughts with good thoughts. You fight bad thoughts with good words. You have to start speaking the good words over the things that you actually have and want to accomplish inside of your life. Okay. A lot of the times, if we had a recording that we can play back for all the words and things and all the self-talk that we say to ourselves, we would be considered our biggest bullies, period. We would be considered people that are like, wow, like, I can't believe you said something that negative about yourself. Like, how many of us, because I'm included inside of this, how many of us has had just bad thoughts about ourselves? Like, oh, I can't do this, or like saying I'm broke, or saying, I'm poor, or anything like that. If you start saying these negative things about yourself, then that's exactly what you're going to believe about you. Now, here's the thing. The longest relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. So stop verbally abusing yourself. Stop telling yourself that you can't accomplish something. Stop telling yourself that you're not worth something. Stop telling yourself that you have no value. Stop telling yourself that you don't have anything of value to say. Stop telling yourself that you don't have anything to bring to the table. You have all of these things. You have to start believing that for yourself. You have to start replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts with your mouth. You have to start speaking it from your mouth so that it starts coming into your subconscious mind as something that you truly believe, and it's in the core essence of who you are. You have to start figuring out the words, the phrases that will allow you to come back and stand on truth instead of all the lies that we want to tell ourselves about what we can and cannot accomplish in our life. You have to start telling yourself things like, I am more than a conqueror. You have to start telling yourself things like, I was born with a purpose and I'm destined for greatness. You have to start telling yourself things like, I am the greatest that I ever have been, and I will continue to press the limits to be all who I need to be. You need to start filling your mind with all of these statements so that you can get to a point of standpoint in life of where you want to be. So in the end, guys, I want you to learn how to monitor your gates. Monitor your ear gate. Don't allow that negativity in. Monitor your eye gate. Make sure you clean up social media, because what you see has a huge impact on what you believe you can accomplish in your life. And then lastly, monitor your mouth gate. Don't allow the negative foods and everything else inside your mouth. But more importantly, don't allow negativity to be spoken from your mouth. We all heard that phrase. If you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. Well, that also applies inside of your mind. If you got a negative thought that's inside your mind, instead of speaking that out loud, speak the exact opposite. So when you say, I can't afford that trip, say, I will, I can. I have afforded this trip. I have afforded this trip, and I'm going on this trip on X date. And now you start to figure out what the actions you need to take in order to actually go on that trip. So those are the things that you need to do to cap the negative in your life. I'm so excited you guys stuck around to hear this message. Here's the information that I have for you inside of this chapter. And make sure you stay tuned for chapter or episode 4, where we're going to talk about chapter 3, which is listening. Okay. Make sure that you go back to the show notes and you look at some of the different contest that we have going on. The Founding Family contest is still going on right now. So make sure you go to the show notes to get all the information and details on that. With that, guys, I'm all set. I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. So thank you for joining us again on the Curse Breaker podcast. I just want to make sure that you guys listen to this show on any of your favorite outlets, including Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to visit the blackgammotent.com to get the latest news on our podcast and giveaways and the contest, because I am not the only host that gives away amazing content and rewards and different gifts that we want to be able to bless the communities that we serve in. So make sure that you go on that website and find out all the details about other things that you can win as well. So with that, I'm excited, guys. Look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.